Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be talking about Ultratime overview and what that consists of. So I will be assuming that you have already received Tracy training, so this should be a refresher, but if not, some of these things will be new to you, and I will ask that you schedule that as soon as possible. So let's get started. So how do you really access Ultratime, Tracy, and all that stuff? Well, you log on to My Berea, just your personal My Berea, and we're going to go under the labor tab. Once we're at the labor tab, it's going to take us to this page with all the regular stuff, but what we're really going to focus on is student payroll. We're going to go ahead and click proxy user access. Once we click there, it's going to take us to this page. I do want you to know one thing just before we go ahead and continue. Let's look at the top right corner and we have my personal name, Daniela Cordova. So I'm currently logged up to Tracy with my access. But we don't need that because I don't have access to all of the ushers information. Only Dr. Aarons does. So therefore, we need to hit proxy user impersonation. Once we're there, it's going to take us to this page, and typically it just automatically selects the user as Aarons Thomas, but we're going to go ahead and click apply. Once we do that, it's going to take us back to the same page, and I want you to again note the top right corner. And now we are currently viewing Tracy under Thomas Aarons. So with that being said, let's go ahead and click UltraView PCO. And it's going to take us to this page. This page typically has much more employee names, but since it's not a regular semester, we just have Miss Sarah working with us this semester. So obviously we have the name, the total hours, and the dates of this week. So we're only currently able to view from Sunday, March 7th, all the way to Saturday, March 13th. Well, what if a student wants to look at their hours from the week before? Well, let's go ahead and look at our first error where date is. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just a subtraction sign means you go back 1 week. The addition sign on the right side of the date just goes ahead another week. As I typically said, we do have more employees. So instead of just Sarah being on here, we'll typically have about 15 usher names on here. And since they don't fit all on a page, we have to go ahead and go to the next page. And that's just what locate means. You go forward or backward to flip through the different pages of your employees' information. Okay, so let's go ahead and say Sarah forgot to clock in Tuesday for her shift that day and just sent me a message and said if I could fix her hours. So we're just going to go ahead and view that we do have that she worked Monday, March 8th. However, we note that those numbers are in parentheses. Since this is Sarah's secondary position, her primary hours are listed in parentheses. So that Monday she didn't work for us. Those 4 hours, those 4.05 hours are for her primary since they're listed in parentheses. But she said she worked Tuesday, so let's go ahead and click on that blank empty spot. Once we do that, it's going to pop this up. So what we're just really going to focus on are 4 buttons. These are our 4 buttons. We want to go ahead and clock in her position code. We have under the punches, of course. And typically it's 89004 or 89003, depending on the pay level of that usher. So we went ahead and put in Sarah's code. She said she worked from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. So I do want you to know that you have to type in the P or the A if it's AM or a PM shift. Because if I would have just typed it, typically it automatically assumes it's AM. So if I would have just typed 3 o'clock, the system would have read it as she clocked in at 2 o'clock and clocked out at 3 in the morning. So that's just a typical error. So just be mindful of the P's and the A's at the end of your timestamps. And once we have all of that logged in, we're going to go ahead and hit apply. Once we hit apply, we're going to have this page. So that whole shift is going to be in blue. And that just means that it's in the system now. And let's go ahead and just exit out, go back. And now we see 1 hour that she worked on Tuesday, March 9th. So let's say, for example, she had already clocked in this hour, but she didn't mean to, or she clocked in accidentally get to this position instead of the other position, etc. We just need to delete it. Once again, we're just going to go ahead and click that hour slot, and it's going to take us to this page. We want to go ahead and click that little square. DEL is just delete, and we're going to hit apply. And once we go ahead and hit apply, if we go back, we see once again that that slot is empty, so that hour is no longer available. So let's go ahead and look at another tab called schedules. This is another tab that you are able to use, but just note that it does have some information that other people may not have access to. What I mean is that once you click Sarah's name, you have access to her telephone number. Typically, I asked for students' numbers for the group chat. We use WhatsApp. So typically I would have that number, but let's say perhaps your phone broke or you just lost everyone's number. You are able to see their telephone number and access it through here. But just keep in mind, sometimes the number may not be up to date. Maybe it is. So just use that if you have to. I've never had to use it since, I've never been in that position where I've lost a student's number, but here it is just in case. Let's go ahead and exit that out. And we're going to go under the tab called classes. So we saw when we were logging in hours that we saw a schedule, but this schedule is more of a weekly schedule. So let's say we're trying to schedule everyone and we are trying to see what times they're available. Well, here is the class schedule of that student listed under when they registered for classes at the beginning of the semester. Now, I do want to note, it'll be easier for you to access these schedules and just look it on Tracy. However, there have been instances in the past where a class, let's say Sarah's 12 p.m. to 12:29 class is canceled, or maybe they just don't meet every single day. They just meet Tuesdays and Thursdays. So do keep in mind that yes, you have the schedule, but it may not be 100% accurate. Since classes get canceled, or maybe they just meet once a week instead of twice a week, or twice a week instead of three times a week, etc. So make sure you ask your ushers about that class schedule, but that is an access that you will have when you use proxy impersonation. And lastly, just again, this was just very quick. I am assuming that you have scheduled a meeting with them already, but again, if you haven't, here is the contact information for the certain individual at the labor department to get Tracy training. And that will come along with typically a pamphlet or an online version of a pamphlet that just gives you different codes, different errors and issues that may arise while you use Tracy. So just make sure that you do schedule that appointment and get a meeting with them. But besides that, I will see you in our next video, and you have a great day.